welcome to episode 68 of the Wheatley podcast. A massive thanks to Joe Daly for last week's episode, for the chat about how he got to be a magician and all the way with it, and meeting the Paul Daniels when he was young. I called him Phil Daniels last week, not the same guy. But even showing us some tricks that he did on our YouTube channel. If you haven't seen that yet, pop over there. You may have listened to it on Spotify. You will just hear me reacting. It's not quite the same thing, but yeah, he showed us 3 or 4 really, really great tricks. And there's one at the end of the episode in particular that really left me scratching my head. I have no idea how he did it, and yeah, maybe you can figure it out. I don't know, but he was great fun, and really appreciate him coming on. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as always, like we always say, and we might have some live stuff coming up, like we have been, before last week, but it's kind of slowing down because people are getting back out, and it's great, and people are getting to go to shops and to gyms and all those things. So it's harder to get guests for the live stuff, and that's understandable. I'm going to get into this week's episode. I'm going to introduce my guest today. He is the goalkeeper for Tyrone. He plays outfield for Edendork, his club, and his name is Niall Morgan. How are you doing, Niall?
Not too bad. Don't be expecting any magic tricks from me. I'm very disappointed.
I was just going to ask. No, it's very strange, Niall, right? Just talking about the magic trick thing. We were talking about, because he's actually he does children's shows, and he's on RT Junior and things like that. But how, children will allow it to be magic, but adults want to figure it out. They really want to. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. And all week since I spoke to him, that's all I've been doing, is trying to figure out what he was at when he was on. But he really was brilliant. But listen, thank you very much for coming on, Niall. I really appreciate it. Before I actually ask the first question, I suppose I'll start with this, because I was just speaking to before we pressed record. Where did the split come from between being a goalkeeper for your county and then an outfield player for your club?
I think I always done outfield for the club from I was a young age. I was always up about the club, and then I started playing soccer whenever I was 7 or 8, and I was good at it in terms of I was athletic enough and I could play football. But the goalkeeper for my team quit whenever we were under 11, I think it was. So under 10s, a lad from Caleishel done nets, and then the next year he had left. So I was the worst soccer player that was good at Gaelic. So it was a case of, right, now you can catch and you can kick, so you're going into goals. So I don't expect you to save many shots, but if you can come for a few crosses and kick the ball up the pitch as far as you can, that would be great. And then it just sort of evolved.
Was there a reluctancy on your part, or was it like, because you were voted out, basically, you went into goal?
Oh, I hated it, and to be honest, I'm still not a big fan of it. That's why I don't do it for the club. So basically, then I done goals in soccer, and I tried my best to get out. I even dropped an age group because I was playing a year above myself, and I even dropped an age group to try and get outfield. And I played a few games up front for them, and I actually scored a couple of goals, and then they still managed to put me back in nets.
Destiny.
Yeah. So, and then it basically started through the club or through school football then, where I would, if I wasn't going to start outfield on the year above me, I would offer my services as a goalkeeper just to get on the team. And then I started doing the same for the club then, whenever I was maybe just out under 14s. I'd done goals for the minors just to get on the team. I just wanted to play. I hated sitting on the bench. I still hate sitting on the bench. So it was anything just to get me on a team. And then I suppose it came about with Tyrone that I was actually playing outfield at a club game and a championship game, and Ergal Kieran were playing the game after. And at that stage, I was first choice keeper for Gann Swifts. And Mickey Harte came to me after my match and asked would I be interested in coming up and joining the Tyrone team as a goalkeeper. I was thinking, I actually turned him away a couple of times and said, no, look, I'm happy playing soccer, and I'll maybe consider county football. And in a few years' time, at that stage, I was still a student, and not that I was getting paid much, but it was enough to pay my rent at university and maybe take me out in a couple of nights out. And then after maybe 3 or 4 conversations, he had persuaded me to join, and since then I've just been playing. It was August 2012 whenever he asked me to join, and by December he had my mind changed, and I played my last game for the Gann Swifts in around the 2nd or 3rd of January on a Saturday, and played my first game for Tyrone the very next day against Antrim in the McKenna Cup. So
I mean,
quick turnaround. Or against Derry, sorry, in the McKenna Cup, it was a quick turnaround.
what a great story, the reluctant goalkeeper who rises to basically to one of the top counties in Ireland, you know, as a goalkeeper. I think that's great. Now, could you give us a short history of your upbringing? I know you gave us a little bit there of the Gaelic side of it.
Yeah, well, my dad is a massive Edendork man, and I think he maybe wasn't always an Edendork man, but he's the sort of person that whenever he devotes time to something, he's all in. He doesn't do things by half measure, and he would have always been around the club. I think he nearly single-handedly started the youth training at the club whenever he was younger, just to get young lads up playing, I suppose. And it was on a Sunday morning, and the club still do the Sunday mornings. It's a tradition with us where we train the Sunday morning, all the youth teams on the pitch at one time, from now it's under sixes, so under 6, 8s, 10s and 12s. And so I would have been up at the pitch from, like, he would have took me up whenever I was in the carry bag or the carry basket, and set me in the steps and went out and coached the teams. And then from once I was able to walk, I was out in the pitch by myself and knocking about with a ball. And then it progressed that he was part of the management team of the senior teams, and I would have went up and kicked the balls back out to the seniors. And I was just always around the football pitch. I live about 3 miles, say, from Edendork pitch. And in the summer, there's an old bathtub that sat beside our pitch. I think nearly every club had one back in the day, where there's an old bath or something sitting, and I used to actually hide my footballs underneath it. And I would have cycled back and forth to the club nearly every day and practiced, and I just loved being at the pitch. And I suppose that's where the free kick side of things came. You know, the amount of time I spent at the pitch whenever I was younger. You know, I don't think I'm an expert in any way, shape, or form, but I think the practice that I put in whenever I was younger probably got me to where I am today.
That's brilliant. I had the question down. I suppose it's kind of answered now, but like the idea of coming from a GAA family.
Yeah, it's big time. I think it's massive. Like, and I think probably more so whenever I was younger in the north, it was important to be from a GAA family, because I suppose, like, I was born in 91, and that would have been sort of in around the time of the Troubles. And so, like, GAA was a massive community, and it still is, but now it's not even as important to come from a GAA actual family. You're just, everybody's invited in, and it's so inclusive. But like, I can't really remember, apart from, you know, maybe being stopped, you know, for the car to be checked or whatever, I can't remember any, like, real hassle being caused. Thankfully, I was probably too young for that. But like, just being from a GAA family is just, it's given me so many opportunities, from just basic playing for Edendork, my club, to we were amalgamated whenever I was younger, so we joined McKillyman. It's another team in the parish, so we got to know them boys. Playing primary school football, secondary school football, university football, representing Tyrone, representing Ulster, and representing Ireland. You know, it's something that, you know, there's a in every walk of life, in terms of them teams, there's memories that nobody can take away from you. And like, whenever I'm going through the times where you doubt yourself, I always say, you know, I played for Ireland, and that's one thing that nobody can ever take away from me, whether they doubt me or not, or you know, whether I win an All Ireland or win an All Star. You know, I've played for my country, and that's the highest accolade that I could ever imagine.
It's really encouraging to hear that, because you know, like with the whole Ireland versus Australia thing, if people who are listening to this don't know that Ireland, it's kind of the rules are a mixture of both Aussie rules and then of obviously Gaelic football. It's great to hear that it meant that much for you to play, because I think some people who don't play maybe are just dismissive of it being just kind of what would you kind of call it? I suppose when you have something like the All Ireland there every year, and it's in your face, and it's such a big tournament, people can be quite dismissive of other things that happen. But for you, to hear you talking about how important it was to play for Ireland, I think that's actually a great thing.
Yeah, I can remember our club used to take buses down to the international rules whenever it was in Croke Park, and I was just in awe of the spectacle that it was, because I suppose the way I play is a little bit different, and that was a game that was a little bit different. It wasn't just, you know, a Gaelic game, and it was harder hitting, and there was different skills involved, and I was just engrossed in it. not that I don't profess to know anything about Aussie rules or, or about the teams or about the players that you were playing against. And like there was other lads that knew nearly everybody they were going to be playing, and they were just in awe of them nearly. But like I just loved getting to see, like, and I suppose it was taken even more seriously back then. Like it was really the best players in Ireland playing together. And I can still remember in the Carton House the night before the test in Croke Park in I think it was 15, the home test that we won, and Philly McMahon from Dublin saying, tomorrow we're not representing our counties, we're all one, we're wearing green, and whenever we go to battle, we're all going to battle together. Like, and it made the hairs in the back of my neck stand up, that you realise that you're in a room full of people that you look up to and every day, like, and you're sitting, and Philly was there, and James McCarthy was there, and Dermot Connolly was there, and you're like, they're the players that I'm in awe of. Like, say what you want about the Aussie rules players, but it's the players in the GA that I looked up to the most, and getting to play alongside them was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was like I did like looking at the panels. Like it was just like a who's who of football over here, and that was brilliant. So now, when did we always ask this question? When did you first become aware of mental health?
I think as a term, mental health, probably not until, probably later on in secondary school, and like 17 or 18. But like I was always an emotional footballer, in terms of, like as I said earlier, I hated being on the bench. I hated losing. I hated being taken off. I hated when things didn't go my way. I was so temperamental whenever I was younger. And I suppose, like looking back now, like that's all part of the mental side of the game. And like if I lost an under 10 blitz, I would have been distraught the whole day. Like if I lost a match in training on a Sunday morning, I can remember so clearly the last Sunday morning training, whenever I was maybe under 10, and my team were losing, and my dad was refereeing. He's gave a free kick against me, and I turned around and told him to F off. And he just grabbed me by the jersey, he walked me up to the car, opened the back door, put me in, closed the door, locked the car, and like that was the day that they got the packet of cheese and onion, the Mars bar, and the tin of Coke. And he just says, "You're not getting it."
Yeah.
And I was distraught. Like, but it taught me a real valuable lesson. Like, not only to respect referees, which they'll laugh at me even contemplating that I respect them, but especially my own dad. Like, it was such the wrong thing to do. And if I seen a child doing it now, I would be absolutely disgusted. Like, but it was a valuable lesson. And I suppose that was the mental side for me, that I was, very temperamental, and I suppose even right through, even like I look back to my debut for Tyrone in 2013, and how like I just completely fell apart mentally, and where I'm at now in comparison to that is so far apart. But yeah, I would say later on in secondary school was whenever I started really thinking of what mental health was about, and how to keep my emotions in check, and how important it was to look out for other players and how they were feeling, and not to judge someone for a performance or whatever, and really thinking about feelings, I suppose.
Yeah, that, and look, understandably that comes with age as well, and whether it's something that we kind of seek out to learn more about, or whether it comes kind of like organically, naturally through the people around us, and seeing people who are having difficulties with mental health. And we'll touch on it a bit again later in our chat. I spoke to you just before we came on. My grandfather will be listening to this. He's a massive GAA fan. I remember from when I was very, very young, and he brought us to Croke Park actually when I think it was about 6 or 7. But he'd watch anything. He'd like any GAA is on, and he's always disappointed when it's gone. When during the off season, and yeah, he was anti soccer. Right? He was really, really anti soccer for a while, right? And then he realized that myself and my two brothers were quite into it. And I wasn't so much into the GAA football at the time, or hurling. And there was a moment when I was about 15 or 16 where we kind of crossed over. So he started to appreciate a little bit of soccer. Like, you know, I was an Arsenal fan. He started to see, he liked the way they played football then at the time. And I started watching GA football and hurling as well. And that was something I took from him. And I look on it now as something that, like, my dad will watch it as well. He's he's a Westmead fan. We're from Westmead. My family's from Westmead. My mom is from Cork, so she's a Cork fan, and my grandfather would be Cork as well. But Westmead is you know, we haven't won anything since 2004. It was a great day when we won the Leinster that time. It was really brilliant. But you know, when I wanted to get you on, Niall, I thought it was very important to kind of talk to someone who's at the, you know, at the top table when it comes to counties, like, you know. And I wanted to know about how, when you made your debut, and clearly you're someone who's been in GAA since he was, you know, like you were telling us, since he was in the, you know, the carry cot. How big of a day was that? Did everything register? Did it go by in a blur? What was it like for you?
We got to the league final that year. I'd played every game in the league, and we played Dublin in the league final, and I actually got man of the match. And I remember thinking, this game's quite easy. You know, this is so, like, there was 36,000, I think it was, at the league final, and I remember the whole lead up to the end of the championship was Pascal McCollum telling me, you know, you're never going to feel anything like you're going to feel in Ballybuffet in this first game. And I was going, Pascal, you know, you can only fit 18,000 into Ballybuffet, and we had 36,000 in Croke Park. You know, how is this going to be? You know, how am I going to feel any different? And I suppose just the naivety of it, I was thinking, like, this man's, you know, he's trying to make a big deal out of this whenever he shouldn't be.
Yeah. And
we got to Ballybuffet, and, you know, there was sort of rumours building up going into the game. I was obviously going to be hitting the free kicks, and then, you know, the week leading up to it, there was, you know, Ballybuffet having cut, or Donegal having cut between the two 45s. They've left the grass really long intentionally so that I couldn't hit the ball off the ground. There was absolutely nothing of it. But, you know, slowly but surely this started to, you know, sit into my head, and I was thinking, geez, have they done this? Have they done this? You know, and you're walking out onto the pitch before the game and nearly, you know, checking the length of the grass. Like, you know, even though you can't do anything, like, it's not like I could have went to the referee and said, look, this grass is longer. Is there any chance you can get a mower out and cut it? So that sort of thing started sitting in my head. And then the first free kick, I remember jogging up as normal, but the noise, well, it felt like, you know the Welcome to Hell thing that Galatasaray done?
Yeah.
It genuinely felt like the pitch had got smaller. The crowd were all nearly, it felt like they were circling me the whole way up the pitch. And I missed. And the roar that went up, you would have thought Donegal had got a goal. And I was like, gee, like, what's the big deal? Like, I've missed free kicks before. Like, what's the big deal here? Like, so then the next one, we got the next free kick, and the noise started again. And this time, you know, they were really at me because they thought that what they'd done had worked. And I scored the next free kick. And I remember going back towards my net, and I put my hands to my ears as if, you know, where are you now? And just I might as well have burned a Donegal jersey in my goal mouth, because I had another four free kicks that day. I missed all four, and the noise just got louder and louder every time. And, you know, a bit like being put in the car at under 10 train, it was a very valuable lesson. It was. I'm not big for thinking about regrets. I'm more a learn from your mistakes sort of person. But that's a massive regret for me that day, just in general, of, you know, not taking it as serious as I should have, not listening to the advice of somebody who had been there before and knew what was coming, and then reacting the way I did, because, like, mentally I'm so different now compared to then, but I'm still judged off that. You know, teams still think that, you know, he bites at every opportunity, and he's you know, he's easy to get at, and if you shout at him or if you do whatever, you can get at him. Like, it doesn't faze me anymore. Like, I as I say, I've missed 5 free kicks that day, and I've had other games where I've missed more than that, and, you know, and that's just the way. And I've had games that I haven't missed any, and I've learned that, you know, that's just the way of it. And especially where I'm hitting the free kicks from, you know, like, they're further out, and it's not a high percentage score.
Yeah.
So I've had to learn that as well. But it was a game that I didn't prepare for in the right way, and I learned a very hard lesson, and but it has stuck with me for right up to now, thankfully.
Yeah, but exactly. As long as you're learning from it, that's what's important.
Yeah.
I think you cut quite a striking, figure on the pitch, because you're tall and you have your chest out. You're standing proud. There's confidence in it, and sometimes you wear like colorful boots, which is funny, because if it was soccer, like, nobody would bat an eyelid. But the fact that it's football, it's people are like, think it's kind of as if you want to stand out, whatever, rather than you just liking the actual boots. But
Yeah.
a goalkeeper striding forward like yourself, and obviously Stephen Cluxton's another example. Maybe it's the run up, like, because you have to come all the way from your goal, and it's like, oh, here he comes now. But talk to me then a bit about goalkeepers and about how it has, it's a position that has evolved more than any other in football. And you have to do so much more than, like you were saying earlier on, about just catching the ball and kicking it. There's so much more to it now.
Yeah, well, again, like, if I think back to whenever I did start doing goals, like, it literally was just set it down and, who's our tallest player and where's he standing, and I'm just going to drop it and tap him all day, and I don't care if the other team's winning it. He's our tallest player and he's getting the ball. But it wasn't like, whenever I played fifth year, I was 16 playing on the McCrory Cup team in the school. We won the McCrory and the Hogan in 2008. And Niall McKenna was midfield. He done midfield for Tyrone Miners that year as well, that won the All-Ireland. And Niall was unbelievable in the air, but he far preferred kicking a low kick towards the wing for him to run onto. So we spent hours and hours on the Donaghmore, on his club's back pitch, practicing this kick out, where I would just zip it nice and low for him to run onto chest height. And like, this was like, we would have been out there, the lights were on, and it was just the two of us. And like, if people had a drove past, or not drove past, called down, that have been saying, why have we got the lights on for an Edendork man to practice his kickouts?
Yeah.
But like, that I suppose was me recognizing that even at that age, that just driving the ball out long wasn't always going to be the best option. And then obviously at that stage, Cluxton was starting to really completely change the way goalkeeping was going to be viewed. So like, obviously I didn't come up with it. It was more he was doing it and we were copying. And just since then, I suppose, since he and Dublin revolutionised the kick out of it being a possession restart, as they talk about, just the game has just constantly evolved. And then obviously I'm playing a bit more off my line now, nearly as a sweeper, and Rory Began comes out of his net and Graham Brody comes out of his net, and we're far more comfortable now with the ball. For a start, we don't wear boots that come around our ankles so we can run. We don't have steel toe cap boots, so we're comfortable soloing the ball, and like, all them things add up. Like you look at the goalkeepers in the 90s, and they're wearing, as I say, boots that are laced up around their ankles. Some of them had steel toe caps in them, and all it was setting the ball down and just standing it as far up the pitch as you could. And as long as it was far enough away that they couldn't kick it over the bar in one swipe, then that was a good kick out. And it's moved on, and it's great that it's moved on, because it's only positive for younger lads that now want to do goals, because they're a massive part of the team.
But for yourself as well, Niall, I mean, it's just the idea, because obviously you play outfield for your club, to play in goals for Tyrone then is a much more appealing thing. It's more interesting for you too, to be I think it's more enjoyable to watch you play, or Stephen Cluxton play. I don't, hitting it long and into the midfield and then seeing a bit of a battle was fun. I remember that when I was like 14 or 15, that's what they were doing. But I think it's so much better now that it's being played the way it is.
Definitely, because like, at the end of the day, like Gaelic football, if you have the ball, the other team can't score. Like, it's a simple logic, So I can never understand why. Now, I'm not saying that I'll never hit a long kick out again, or I'll never kick that 50-50 again, like, because it has to be done sometimes during games to get the ball out and let boys battle for it. But if there's a short kick out on, I can't understand why people, don't encourage it. Like, if there's a man got a free kick in the corner back position and there's a man standing free 13 metres away, and the kicker drove the ball up the sideline to a contest, everybody would be shouting at him.
Yes.
But for some reason, whenever goalkeepers do this, it's almost as if they're ruining the game.
Yeah.
These goalkeepers, and then they've started to change the rules to try to nearly take us out of the game. We were getting the pass back from the kick out, and now we can't get a pass back. It has to go to somebody else first. And like, I'm just waiting for them to turn around and say we're not allowed out past the 20-meter line or the 13-meter line next, because it genuinely is. And it's going to put off the younger lads from wanting to play, because they want to get involved. And at the end of the day, if lads are enjoying it and it's changing the spectacle and it's making it more appealing, then I can't understand what's wrong with the way it's being done.
Absolutely, I agree. You mentioned Mickey Harte. What was it like, heading into that setup? Because obviously up where you are, Mickey Harte is an icon of the game, really.
Yeah, well, like I said, I was born in 91, so I can't really remember the 95 final, but in 03 I was obviously there, 05 was there, 08 was there. And it was just surreal. Like, I probably didn't appreciate it. Whenever they won it in 2003, I was just turned 12. But like, to turn around and my dad's standing crying beside me, and I'm going, well, what's he crying for, sort of thing. Like, it's only a game of football, but it's not until you get older that you realise how big of an achievement it was for Tyrone to win in 03 and get over the line, because it's the first one's always the hardest. And they showed that in 05 coming back to win it, in 08 going back to win it. 08 it was 17. It was in the hill for it, with a group of friends, and bombarding the pitch. It was a surreal feeling. And then to be asked into the squad in said in August 2012, and at that stage Darren McCurry from the club had just been put into the team. He played the qualifier that year against Curry, was called up just the week or two before it, and actually started the game. And like, to be called up and know that you were going to get an opportunity was probably the biggest part. Because like, at that stage, Mickey would have kind of been renowned for keeping is you would have had to nearly do your apprenticeship before you would have got a game. And like, our conversations whenever whenever he was looking me to join were, you're going to play, you're going to get opportunities to play, and then it's up to you, which probably made it a lot easier for me. But like, it wasn't even just Mickey. You were going into the dressing room with Stevie O'Neill, Conor Gormley. Like, they're the two that stick out really in your mind. Like, Stevie was an absolutely unbelievable footballer. Conor had done the block, and like, that there will in 03, and that there will go down in history in Tyrone. Like, Sean Kavanagh was obviously there, Colin was there. Like, you were going in with, as I said earlier, the boys that you idolised. These were the lads that had got thrown over the line, and now you're in a dressing room beside them, and they were giving you advice. Pascal and John Devine were both there as goalkeepers. So it wasn't just Mickey. It was the whole setup. It was just surreal to be saying, I'm a Tyrone senior. I play for Tyrone senior. And at that stage, you probably thought, this is going to last forever. And now this is my 9th year being involved, and I'm starting to look at the other side, thinking, well, I've definitely played more games than I have left. Have I got 1 year, 2 years, 3 years left? I don't know, because the commitment's so much. But it's just, it's a massive honour and a massive privilege to be there. And as I've said on a number of occasions, I owe Mickey a wealth of gratitude for giving me that opportunity to, especially whenever I was playing outfield for the club, to give me the opportunity then to go and be the goalkeeper. And, for that, I'm forever grateful.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I was thinking about this morning, Niall. I was out for a run, and I was thinking about, the competitive side of the Ulster, well, no, I wasn't really. I was thinking about the competition amongst the 4 provinces. I would say Ulster's probably the most competitive, with, a few teams close enough in quality. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but when I was looking at the other ones, I was kind of picking out a couple of teams here and there, like Leinster's kind of doesn't count at the moment, but, here and there. But Ulster seems to be the most competitive of the provinces.
Yeah, I just think we hate each other that much that it's whenever you take the field, like there is like a hatred towards the other team, and that's just being honest. It's not a hate. Like, I don't hate Michael Murphy. I actually get on quite well with them, and players from all the other counties. You get on really well with them. I went to school with some of the Armagh players. I played soccer with some of the Armagh players.
All right.
You've been to the international rules, as I said, with a number of them. You've went to university with the Antrim boys, the Down boys, but the minute you step onto the pitch in an Ulster Championship game, and it's going to be the same this year in the league, with it being the split to the north and the south sort of side of things, there's just that hatred's maybe strong, but the rivalry, that there is in Ulster, I don't think it's equalled anywhere else. Maybe Cork and Kerry to an extent, but I don't think you get it in any other counties. That it's really, it's a real pride thing. Like, and then I suppose again having that, the six county thing. You probably have a bit of a chip in your shoulder thinking that you're looked down on, and you probably are, because whenever you go to play teams from the south, the abuse you get, I suppose, you would nearly think that we personally signed the treaty to the Queen. Like, it's surreal at times, the things that people would say.
You get like sledging in the sport, and there is a bit of it. What are your thoughts on that? Do you find if someone is, having a go at you on the field, one of your the opposition players, does it get in your head?
It's hard to say, because, like, I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, sledging's a disgrace and it's a plague in the game," because I'm from Tyrone and people would just laugh at me. But like I always say, like, as long as it doesn't get personal, there's things you can say, and people are having a bad game, and you can, tell them it was a great pass that they had, even though they had it to their own team, or that was a good effort, even though you've dropped it short, or just probably, like, I would be more sarcastic than anything else. I don't actually say much unless somebody says something to me first. And if somebody says something to me first, then it's game on.
Yeah.
And whatever way they want to work it, then I'm more than happy to go with them. But as I say, as long as it doesn't get personal, it doesn't do any harm. And the main thing is, at the end of the game, that you can shake hands and say, whatever happens in between the white lines. And if it's nothing too personal, then you'll always be able to shake hands. And
exactly,
I have never had anything from another player that I've ever felt, that was so out of line that, I'm disgusted. And I can genuinely say that. I've had plenty of people saying stuff to me, and plenty of people shouting stuff to me. But I've had worse things said from the crowd than I've ever had from another player. So, and I think players have that genuine respect for each other to not cross the line.
Yeah, like there was the story my dad tells me about Paddy O'Shea, who's obviously a legend in these parts because of the victory in the Leinster for Westmeath, but down in when he was playing against Dublin and back in wherever it was, the 70s and that, and they used to say to him, the smell of cow shite off you, that kind of stuff. And he turned around, he said when the ref turned his back, he gave him an awful kick up the arse. Well, again, that's not like personal,
Yeah.
but I know what you're saying. It's like I like the bit of sarcasm as well. That kind of thing of, like, he plays a bad pass and you say, "Oh, great pass," and that kind of stuff. It's a bit of harmless, like, trying to get inside the head, but not to get too far on it, because it kind of, But you've got a big. The league is starting up on Sunday.
We're Saturday. We start out Saturday at 5 against Donegal, so it's a huge start for us. It's baptism of fire for the new management team. So it'll be good to get going again. I think everybody's been crying out for it and waiting for it. So it was a short run-in. We've only had 4 weeks to train and get prepared. We obviously had our individual plans right over lockdown, but it's going to be good. It's going to be good to get back out, and whether you win or lose, it's just going to be good to get back out and playing.
I think it's another great thing about it for the people and the supporters of, whether it's Tyrone or Donegal supporters or whoever it might be, whatever games are on the TV, they're going to get more viewers because people have been missing it for that long. And I think it'll probably draw more people in who may not have been into GAA before, because of the fact that we've kind of been deprived of sport here. I know, not counting the Premier League and things like that, but I mean, when you see the fixture, Tyrone, Donegal as the first fixture, I was like, Jeez, that's going to be a bit of crack. Come here. So, like, at the GAA, so talking as a team unit, I suppose, and in the dressing room, if a player was to, have some mental health issues, do you feel that it's it would be a welcoming place for somebody to come in and be, feel comfortable talking to people about it?
Uh, it's a tough one to say because it probably depends on the person for a start, and I'm trying to think the right way to put this. I would have absolutely no issue talking to anybody about anything. I'm very open, but there's also lads that maybe are only new into the squad, and maybe feel a wee bit more pressure and they maybe see it as a weakness. But as somebody said, everybody's got mental health. Some's just better than others.
Yeah.
And it's something that I've struggled with it myself in the past. I've worked with a man called Fran from the GPA. I was put in touch with to give me techniques to help me deal with my own struggles. And I'm not afraid to say that. And I've said that to many of the younger lads. I've said it to, I'm a teacher. I've said it to pupils in my class, and they sort of look at you as if, geez, I'm teaching 10-year-olds, and they're sort of looking at me going, he's talked to a psychologist, he must be mental.
Yeah, true, yeah.
Because there is that sort of stigma with it, and there really shouldn't be, because, like Fran was absolutely unbelievable. He gave me the simplest tips that I've passed on to so many different people, and it helped me so much. And I think, nobody should be afraid to talk out, but it's probably finding somebody that will take it serious.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're talking to somebody and they say, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're not all right, and you do need a proper conversation and a proper, I need something to help me get through this, or, a proper strategy to put in place. It's probably important to seek out the right person, and I would hope that anybody on the Tyrone team would feel that I'm a person that would be approachable enough to do that. But as I say, I think it depends on the individual and themselves.
Well, I think, Niall, the fact that you've come on here, which is primarily a mental health podcast, and obviously we love talking about all the other stuff as well, but to kind of drop in, pieces here and there of other people's experiences and the guests' experiences. The fact that you've come on here and, some of your teammates will see this, and some of the younger ones, which is undoubtedly it is harder for the younger people to come out and talk about it. Obviously, you're very comfortable with it now, and you'll talk about it, that you've been to see a psychologist and things like that. And I'm the same, everybody knows my story from this podcast. But I do think it's important, the fact that they'll find, even if it's just that one person like yourself, that they can go to, sit down and say, look, I'm having a really tough time at the moment, and go from there and just have an open conversation. And like you say, you've been through those tough times, and you've talked to someone, and you can kind of give something back and say, this is what I was told, or whatever. So that's hugely important. Have you noticed that the GAA, has there been any initiative? Have you heard about anything that the GAA has been kind of working on with regards to mental health, or is it still kind of in its infancy in that sense?
As part of the GPA, they do a lot of work on it, to the extent where some people nearly would think the GPA is just for people with, difficulties nearly, but the work that they do is tremendous. And, I literally sent, a text message to I'm our GPA rep, so I suppose I've got straight direct to the rep for the Ulster teams. And within that day, I had an email from Fran, who was looking to get in touch and get a phone call set up with me. And it was just mad how quick it all happened. And within, by the time I'd get home, I'd sent a message in the morning, and by the time I'd get home from school, Fran was phoning me.
Wow.
That's how quick, and Fran will still every now and again, like we had only maybe 4, 5, 6 phone calls where he gave me the strategies and put things in place, and that was made me comfortable. But it might take 12, 15 for somebody else. It might take 1 for somebody else.
Yeah.
And Fran will still text every now and again. Hi Niall, I'm just dropping a text.
Wow.
I'm thinking about you. And you're just like, see, even that, it's just the minute he sends that, it just sends that wee thought through your head. Don't forget how lucky you are, I suppose, to have everything that you have right now. Like at that stage, I was married. I had no kids. I've now got 2 kids, and you know, things have moved on so quick for me. And but like it's there are things in place. It's just you know, for the players themselves to be willing to go and, you know, ask for the help, because, you know, it's so easy for people to mask things now. You know, it's, you know, so social media especially gives you a great opportunity to put up, you know, all these great things that you have in your life whenever things mightn't be going so well. And you know, everybody's guilty as charged with that one. You know, you're having a bad day, so what do? You put up a picture of your last holiday, or you know, or you're out for a few beers with the lads or something, like, you know, everybody does it. But I suppose it's just being comfortable to open up to somebody and say, look, I need help, and, you know, is there any chance we can meet up or we can have a chat?
I think that's very, you know, that's so reassuring that there is this out there for the players, because it's one thing, you know, me having a bad day, would say, and I can kind of say, right, I'm going to sit home and try and do all the things that make me feel better. But for a, you know, an intercounty player who has to play a big game at the weekend, would say, and this is on a Thursday, the pressures of that is just piling down on top of the kind of struggles that they're going through already. So to have someone who's going to ring them back, like Fran did for you, on the same day, I mean, that's great, because look, I've talked about, I'm not going to go on about it every episode. Well, I haven't gone on some episodes, I have, but the idea of waiting for some people, and it really is, you know, 5 or 6 months sometimes before they can get to talk to someone, and by then it's either too late, or it's, you know, you feel a bit better and you think, well, I don't need to talk to you now, and you're not in the system yet, and then it happens again a month or 2 down the line, and it's really, and I'm not blaming anybody, you know, within the system. Just the system itself is not good. So for the players to have that kind of, you know, service there, it's brilliant. You know, there was a question here I forgot to ask, and it just, because you mentioned Croke Park, and obviously had been there for the Tyrone, the big wins. What was it like playing there, or what is it like playing there? Considering you've someone who's stood or sat in the stands, what's it like going out there in front of, like, all those people? I was there for I was there for a U2 concert, and I was standing in the middle of the pitch, and I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, how do people play in this? Like, what is it like to be out there playing?
So I'll tell you, I have a funny story first about the first time I ever was in Croke Park was the '98 final. So Galway Kildare, and so I was 7 years of age, but I had no ticket. So at that stage, Dad had assumed that, you know, you're that you can just sit in my knee, you'd be grand. So we went to the turnstile, and I went to walk in, and the hand came out, like, through, like, at this stage it wasn't scanning the tickets, it was the hand was handed over and ripped the stub, and the hand literally came out, and, like, you know, the wee face was poked down, and, you know, have you a ticket? And I said, no, my dad's got a ticket there. And I went to walk on, and they're like, you can't come in without a ticket. And I was like, so I turned around, and I said that they won't let me in without a ticket. So Daddy was going, he's only 7 years of age, he could sit in my knee, look at all the size of him. So, like, I would have been not really tall, but I was really skinny whenever I was younger. And so it wouldn't have been causing any hassle, really, to be sitting with that. And at that stage, about 3 or 4 of the Edendork seniors at that time came walking along, but one of them had a real long leather coat. It was probably cool back in the day, but, like, no, like, almost out of the Matrix, like, down to the knee. So Dad said, take off your coat, hold it in front of you, and now crawl through the turnstile under your legs. So that's how I got into the first All-Ireland final. So he held his coat out, like, you know, in front of him. Yeah. I was between his legs crawling. You know, I say he looked funny, like, walking with the 2 legs parted, handed over his ticket. I crawled through, and whenever I got to the other side, as Dad was coming through the turnstile, and I was going, I get in, and he's going. So and luckily Dad we were in Upper Hogan, and Dad had a seat in the front row of the Upper Hogan on the, you know, an aisle seat. I just sat in the steps,
nice.
You know, and looked over the thing, and it was just, I was in, as I said earlier, just in awe of this, packed out Croke Park. And the steward kept coming down every now and again saying, look, just sit in your dad's knee there for a minute. Because obviously his whoever was over the top of him was coming around to check, as everybody's sitting and stuff. And then whenever he would go, then I would sit back out in the aisle, and it was great. But I suppose, getting back to the real side of things. In my first year, we played Dublin and Croke Park in the league, and there was maybe 18,000, and you were sort of going, this is class playing in Croke Park, but it's you don't really notice the 18,000. Like, it wouldn't even been the lower part, it wasn't even nearly full. And then we played the league final, and there was maybe 36,000, and it still looked empty. And then during the international rules, we actually had in-house games in it, so it was completely empty, and that was just a surreal experience. I suppose what the boys would have got last year in the All-Ireland final. But it was I actually loved it, because it was just, you could hear the echo of everything, you could hear everybody's voice. But then the All-Ireland semi-finals and final, the final was just, it was crazy running out, and it being nearly a capacity, and just, I suppose, like, maybe not so much for we got beat, but whenever you hear the roar and the cheers of the teams whenever you score, or whenever Dublin scored especially, just, it was deafening, and it was just magic. It's a magical feeling running out on the Croke Park, and just seeing a crowd sort of the whole way around you. And one of the things that I always do now is, after the team photograph, no matter where I'm playing, I'll just walk the whole way to my nets and just look around and just see, just take it in, I suppose, because you don't know when it's going to be your last game, and just enjoy it. And people would say, don't look at the crowd, whatever you do, it'll only put you off. But I love looking at the crowd and taking it in, and just sort of saying, like, this is mental. Like, what have I done to sort of deserve to be in the middle of all this?
It's incredible. Like, there must be some pride playing for your club. Like, considered how, like, your upbringing around the club and the ground, it must be pretty amazing playing it, because everybody talks about, whether you play for Tyrone, Dublin, Galway, whatever it is, you don't hear about the club so much. I suppose for non kind of avid supporters would say, it must be pretty amazing pulling on that jersey every time.
Oh, it's you probably don't appreciate it whenever you're younger. I started playing for the senior team whenever I was 16. It was actually the day after we won the Hogan. I played my first game for the club as a corner forward. I'd done goals on the Saturday and corner forward on the Sunday again. And like, at that stage, it was just like, I was always going to play for Edendork seniors, like, and you don't really appreciate it. And then in 2015, we won the intermediate, which was the first time in 25 years that the club had won it, the intermediate championship. We've never been to a senior final. The furthest we got was a semi-final. They got there in 2001, and we got there again in 2018. And we were just beat by a point. I actually got black carded with 10 minutes to go. And it was an absolutely ridiculous decision. And even the other team, they were calling for a yellow card, and the referee gave a black. And we were fuming, and we got relegated in 2019, and then won the intermediate league and championship again last year. But I know you're talking about being proud of wearing the club jersey, but probably the proudest moment was we actually played Kerry last year in Edendork.
Oh, really?
With Tyrone, and like, wow. There was three of us started, three Edendork lads started. There was myself, who I'd grown up around the pitch, Darren McCurry, whose home house was literally across the road. So he was always the pitch, and Con Kilpatrick, who it's Con's uncle, who the pitch is named after. Wow. So it was that was a real magical experience. It was a horrible day, weather-wise, but it was just amazing. And we beat Kerry in Edendork, and it was just, having a full strength, near practically full strength Kerry team playing Tyrone in a game that actually mattered in Edendork was class. But every time I wear the Edendork jersey now, it's with pride, and I appreciate it so much. And as I said, you never know when it's your last game, so it's just about enjoying it and giving it the ultimate respect.
Yeah, I read a piece, an interview with you, and you were talking about the idea of not quite knowing when you were gonna finish up, but the fact that so much goes into it. The training and whether it's travel or whatever it is. Just how much does go into it? Because you're obviously training for both teams. How much of your time is taken up by it?
Well, it's not, with the split season that's coming in, and even over the last couple of years, we've had managers at the club that really understand.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put my phone in the charger here before it dies. We have managers at the club that really understand the importance of having downtime. So they more or less said us, look, whenever we have games, we want to see you here, but if we don't have games, we don't expect you to train with both teams, which it's a massive statement from them. So like we wouldn't be expected really to be about the club at all really until the games are about to start, which is now after the county season. But like there was a stage there where you would have been in the gym on a Monday night with Tyrone, you'd have been on the pitch on Monday night or on Tuesday night with Tyrone, on a Wednesday night you were back in the gym with Tyrone, on Thursday night you were on the pitch with Tyrone, Friday night pitch with Edendork, Saturday you would have either had a recovery day or a match, and then Sunday would have been a recovery day or a match. And even you might have played for Tyrone on a Saturday night and Edendork in a friendly on a Sunday, depending. But it was just like at one stage it was just constant. I could not do that physically wise now, never mind mentally. Since the lockdown, it's been great. It's been, you train on Tuesday, you train on Thursday, and you have your match or train once at the weekend. You do your gym stuff by yourself or locally, which is fantastic. And it's a lot less time. I do a bit of coaching on a Monday night with a few different clubs, goalkeeping coaching. And on a Friday, I coach my Edendork under 13s on a Friday, and then Wednesday night's my night off to spend with my wife and kids.
This podcast, obviously.
Yeah, I will. It's grand, but like my wife's probably like, "Oh, fair play to you. Give us one night of the week." And then like I try to get out and play golf as much as I can as well. So it's, but I suppose that's the joys of being a teacher too. I've got July and August to make up for lost time on the golf course.
Well, yeah, and the thing about it, like people don't know, Niall, you've yourself and your wife have recently had a new arrival as well.
Yeah, that's Maisie was born on the 30th of March, and Christy was born last January, on the 5th of January. So we have two kids under 16 months. So that's all adding to the whole thing. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah,
they're bundles of joy now. At 4 o'clock on Sunday night or Monday night, I might have been saying something different, but whenever he was up looking to party, but it's all good crack, and you really do appreciate life and see that it's just a bundle of joy. And I suppose that's why I question so much of how long I'll play, because I don't want to miss them growing up completely.
Yeah,
I want to be there for that. I don't want them to be saying, "Oh, Daddy, I have a match today," and me saying, "Oh, well, actually, I have to go to Mayo and stay overnight because we play Mayo tomorrow," or whatever. It's you don't want to miss out on them things.
No, of course not. And your son has some serious dress sense. I don't know who's dressing him, whether it's yourself or your wife, but bloody hell, he's got a great sense of style.
It's I try to get as many football jerseys on him as possible. We've got him in he's got the Edendork jersey, he's got the Tyrone jersey. He has I played for the Ulster Club in San Francisco in 2014. Right. So we got him a St Mary's jersey for the university, and then he has a signed Cork jersey. My sister lives in Cork, so she got the Cork hurlers through Owen Cadigan to sign a jersey for him. That'll be his christened. And then my wife's from Cookstown, so of course he had to get a Cookstown top too. So, but we try to get him as sporty as possible. But then on the weekends he has to dress nice apparently.
All he's missing now, Niall, is the Irish international shirt.
We'll maybe get him one of them. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Listen, Niall, it's been really great chatting to you, and we really appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Thanks very much for having me.
No, you're welcome. Listen, could you just stick around for 1 minute? And I know you want to get out, but I just finished this out, and I'll get a quick photo just of the screen, and I'll let you off.
100%. Yep, no bother.
Thanks a million, Niall. Okay, thanks very much to John, of course, for all his tech stuff. I was annoying this morning about something, even though he had it all covered, but I don't know anything, so that's what happened there. Thanks to my mum, my dad, my grandfather, who we gave a shout out to already, to Jer for the graphics, and Calvin for the music. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you would, like I said already. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, the Weekly. Spotify, Apple Anchor, Google Podcasts is where all you can find it. And for everyone listening today, thank you very much. We'll be back obviously next week, like we say in the title. It's the clue is there. And Niall, like I said, thanks a million.
No problem. Thanks again.
Okay, everyone, take care. See you next week. Bye.